I'm watching you, serfs. Always watching. Welcome to The King is Watching. This is another one of those indie games that I find so unique and compelling that I just have to show it off on the channel. On paper, this is a base-building roguelike with a surprising amount of depth and replayability. The premise of the game is pretty straightforward. You're going to be building up a castle or a town in order to gather up resources, but your people are only going to be working if you are actively observing them. Otherwise, they tend to slack off. As a result, not only do you have to build up your kingdom and decide what resources are worth pursuing, but you can only ever gather a handful at a time, so you have to be prioritizing what is the most important in the given moment, and then shifting your gaze accordingly. Super interesting premise. Let's go ahead and jump into a game, and I will show you how this works. Now here we are in a home base because this is going to be a roguelike, which means as you play through the game, you will accumulate some resources you can use for various upgrades to change up your run and make it more interesting, but we'll come back to that later. Let's just go ahead and jump straight into things, playing as King Baldwin. And welcome to the kingdom. So this is my space to work with. I have a simple 4x4 grid where I can place down various resources and start extracting. To start things off, I'll go ahead and place down a couple of wells. Now by placing this, let's say over here, you can see from this outline, this is the shape of my gaze. And if I unpause the game, these tiles are now working, which is generating some water as a resource that I will be able to spend and place down some additional tiles. Case in point, we'll go over here. We have some trees at the cost of 21 water, or some small wheat fields also at the cost of 21 water. Let's go ahead and place this right over here on this little blue tile. This just gives me a little bit of extra production value, and I'm going to rotate my gaze around, so now all three of these tiles can be working simultaneously. And then once I have enough water, I'll also place down a tree, let's say here, and rotate one more time, so now I can gather up some wood, some water, and some wheat all at the same time. And the reason I need all of this is because pretty soon we are going to get attacked. If you take a look up here at the top, you can see that we do have some enemies that are rapidly approaching our keep. Once one of these flags reaches us, an enemy wave is going to spawn, and we do need to defend ourselves. To start off, we're not going to have a lot to work with. The game only has some small peasants' huts. I can summon these guys at the cost of some of my wheat. And to start off, I'm going to need both water, wood, and wheat in order to place one of these down. So we'll go ahead and do this, but until I actually place my gaze here, we're not generating any fighters that I can use. I've got a little bit of time before some goblin bandits are going to spawn, so I'll just go ahead and wait a little bit. Since I actually have enough lumber and wheat, what I can do is rotate my gaze again and focus just on getting as much of this water as possible to speed things up. And then once I've got enough there, which is right about now, we can go ahead and place this here, and this is where I would then drag my gaze elsewhere in order to get these tiles working. Now, of course, since I'm not looking at anything on this tile, it's going to waste right now, which is not great. What I could do is just go ahead and place a well here, so at least I'm getting some value. You can move your buildings around. Thank God. If you could not, this would be a very, very unforgiving game indeed. So the only downside is if you do move your buildings around, they temporarily have a production penalty. So I can show you this by moving it here, for example, and there's going to be this, the well seems to be doing just fine. But yeah, usually there is a production penalty. So that's the downside of moving things around. Don't do it any more than you have to, but at least you're not completely locked in. Some enemies are about to spawn. If we just jump forward a little bit in time, you can see one of those little goblins was walking in the map. He instantly died, and that's because I do have a special roguelike power I'm using right now where when enemies walk onto a new map, some of them are going to get struck by lightning, and as that one just found out. So not a great example, but it's fine. So whenever you finish a wave, you do get some rewards. We can get some denarii, which we will use to buy upgrades when the merchant comes for a visit. And we can also get a levy barracks. This is a building we'll be able to place down to generate some additional warriors. Could go for some more peasants if we really want to stack up on that. I'm not really eager to do that. Could get myself a madhouse. What does a madhouse do? Well, they're madmen with pretty good HP and damage. They're grunts and they're arcane classifications. They get more morale for the more madmen I have on the battlefield. That's a little bit weird. Okay, alternatively, get the bone pit, and this is a way of getting some undead grunts who are going to be fairly cheap for me to generate. They only take water, and this is a pretty cheap early game option, so I'll just go ahead and do exactly that. Now we gotta choose another building. So one thing I haven't told you is that the production buildings we're using have a limited number of charges before the building simply evaporates into thin air. So we're gonna be cycling through our buildings buildings fairly frequently. The question is, do I want to have a bigger well, which I shouldn't need? We could go for some clay, or we could go for some iron. Both of these are valid. I think I'll take the iron, maybe that becomes useful, and then we get to set up a prophecy. This is where we get to choose what the waves are going to look like in the next 3 cycles. So do I want to fight 2 goblin swordsmen? I can do that, and then as a reward, I'll get a basic production building. So let's say some more forests or a wheat field, etc. Or we could go for some wall busters and get 45 of any resource. We could get some denarii, we could get other resources, so on and so forth. You have to fill out the top of each of these waves. So let's say that I want to get myself some denarii early for when the trader comes by, and then I want to get myself another production building, and then some random treasure. That's all completely fine. You can, however, elect to make some of your waves a little bit harder if you're willing to add on extra cards. So for example, if I really want to have this extra levy barracks, maybe what I do is I place this down over here, and we'll have to fight an extra tough wave, but I do get some extra resources as a result, and that could be great. We could also get, let's say, some wall busters over here and try to get an artifact, which is like a relic that gives you some pretty powerful bonuses. This is a very risky play, but I'm hoping within the next 3 waves, I can generate enough forces that we can deal with this. This is very risky, but all right. Forest Spirits. This is going to be a random event that pops up at the end of every wave. We could get 10 of every resource, we could get some crystals, or we could get a magic school, which is probably good, but yeah, I will just take that. I don't know if I'm going to use a magic school anytime soon, but it's a way of generating spells. So spells are another thing that we can generate as we play through the game. We'll run into those eventually, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Let's just go ahead and generate the resources I know that I need to get myself a bone pit, because I do want to generate some of those skeletons at some point. In fact, let's rotate my gaze and start working on that now. Now the problem is, as you can see down over here, we have a limited number of units that we can place on the field. Now, if I don't want to have these peasants, what we can do is just say, hey, send them all back into the barracks, and we can just change up our composition that way if we want to, and that's not a bad idea. Or we could spend a whole bunch of lumber in order to increase our unit limit. So that could be good and is definitely worth doing at some point. We also can spend a bunch of resources, in this case some gold and some wheat, in order to increase the size of my gaze. And more gaze means more tiles are going to be working, which is obviously quite good and something we absolutely would like to do. There's our first undead unit, by the way. I'm trying to get 3 of these guys up and running. Every unit does have a different effect. So for example, these units are called small bones. They're undead, they're grunts, and for every undead unit on the battlefield, we get a bit of extra damage and HP. So the more you have of these, the better. For the peasants, the more of you have on the field, the more production you get in your empire, which is also quite nice. So here comes this round of enemies. Some lightning just struck one of them down. It's just one, so I mean, like, this is just sort of okay. Let's rotate my gaze around again. I want to start generating some more of that lumber. Notice, by the way, we're about to run out of wheat. We only have 8 left. We'll have to place down another one of those fields. 40 denarii is going to be nice. I'm going to place down another tree because I do want to generate as much wood as possible and boost up this unit limit so I can field more of these skeletons and the peasants all at once. The more damage we have on the field, the less losses we're going to take, in theory. And every time we have to regenerate one of our units, it's going to cost me something. In the case of the peasants, yeah, it just cost me 7 wheat. In the case of the small bones, it cost me 11 water. Now, water is basically infinite, so I don't care that much, but I still don't see any reason to waste it if I don't have to. Now, another thing I want to do is go ahead and place down something like a market, and I think I'll place that... How do I want to place this? That's a good question. I'm going to place you right over here. And what we will do is once we start generating some wheat again, I'll go ahead and start selling it. Or I could start selling some iron. You know what? That's also fine. Let's go ahead and start selling some iron. I'll place the iron mine down here, rotate this like so. Now we're getting both of our really productive tiles working, and I can start selling off some excess iron, make some gold. The more I can get some gold, the more I'll be able to increase that gaze size. By the way, let's go ahead and increase that unit limit, and I'm going to go ahead and field all of my peasants. Let's rotate this around like so, generate that last small bones. They're all going to come out over here. There's only 3 enemies left. Now, your king does have some special abilities of his own, and there are actually lots of different kings in this game. I just happen to have Mr. Ratman over here. But his special abilities are to spend some water to raise up 3 peasants, good in a pinch. We could also spend some gold to boost production of all buildings for 10 seconds. And then we could request a tribute to the cost of 30 gold to get 90 resources of my choice. I don't know if I could spend gold to get gold, because if so, that would feel really powerful, so maybe we try that at some point. We will see. A gold mine is another way I could generate myself a bit of gold, which is great to build up that gaze. I don't need the well, and I don't need the wheat field, so I'll take that. And then as far as some other units, we could go for some militia. These are reasonably cheap to get some more warrior units. The more militia on the field, the stronger they are, which is okay. Alternatively, the hunters slow down their enemies with a range attack. I don't mind that idea. Pretty good against flying units and stuff, too. I definitely don't need more peasants. Range units I kind of like the idea of having. Let's go ahead and grab hunters, and that's another unit type we'll want to go ahead and take advantage of. Let's go ahead and start generating another one of these peasants so I can field as many units as possible. What do we need for the ranger's hut? We can actually do it now. I'm going to move this well. I guess I can leave it there. It's fine. Let's go ahead and place down the hunter right over here for now. And I'll generate one of those so we have some range units, and I'll pull off one of these peasants because I just don't see any reason to have it. Pull you over here, generate more wood. Again, you still need more wood to keep boosting up that limit, so I don't think it's ever a bad idea to keep generating more of that. Though I also know I need to get some wheat going because, 1, I want to get that gaze up, and 2, I'm using wheat every time I get myself some additional hunters. So a bunch of units coming out over here. This was the really tough wave I said I was going to use. I don't mind spending some water to have a few extra peasants just to soak up some of the damage. Hopefully that actually ends up being helpful. But probably what we'll need to do is start generating more of our units. So let's be ready to reinforce when the time comes. Let's place down that wheat field. There's no need to do this yet, so we'll just go ahead and generate what we can over here. So these wall bursters, what they're very good at is getting in and doing damage to your walls. Your wall does have health to it. We have 100 health. If our walls ever die, then we lose the game. So obviously we want to keep that alive. That's sort of the entire point of the game, right? So wall bursters are supposed to be dangerous in that way, but since they have no one else defending and we're able to slow them down with hunters, that made it easy. We get an artifact. Troops can be produced faster is good. Gain 3 ore every time we kill an enemy. Sure, I'll pick that up, and now I probably don't have to worry about ore production for a lot of the game. Do we want some wheat, some ore, or some clay? I'm going to take the wheat because it'll be easier to level up my gaze doing things like that. And then let's go ahead and, let's see, we already have too many units. I can pull back some of these extra peasants since we generated 3 for free. Let's get ourselves a replacement skeleton so that the rest are still a little bit stronger, and then we'll go back just to straight out econ mode, generating as much wheat and gold as possible, because the faster you can boost up your gaze, obviously the faster you can scale up your economy. Hopefully you're kind of seeing how a lot of this works. Now, you may be wondering, what are a bunch of these other buildings over here? These are mostly just like lame buildings that take up space for no reason. In between roguelikes, maybe you can just go ahead and get rid of them. That's not something I've done yet because I haven't played that far into the game, but it's fine. Now, I am curious, do I want to spend the gold to try and get 90 resources of my choice? Is it 3 random resources? I mean, I kind of need the gold. So I'm going to go ahead and boost up my gaze size instead. Let's get the denarii. Now we can get ourselves a trader. Now when the trader comes by, this is where we're going to be spending some of our denarii. We can get ourselves various different cards. So like a clay iron mine gets 2 resources, or a potter's farm, which gets me wheat and clay, which is cool. Animal farms produce some meat. Black sheep barns produce black sheep. They don't do anything except for give you morale. So, I don't know. As far as a military unit, I consider that to be pretty darn useless. Archers for crossbowmen could be good if you have a lot of gold generation. Mushroom groves, if you have grapes and crystals, these are very stout warriors. A magic college to generate some spells, maybe. Or we could spend some of these denarii getting a few other things, like let's say some extra artifacts. When your troops die, a random unit becomes enraged and becomes stronger. Yeah, sure, why not? Sawmills and trees damage enemies if they are working. So if I'm working a bunch of forests, I just see my enemies taking damage. Sure. Or receive crossbowmen at the start of every wave. I actually think that starting with lots of free units is pretty darn strong. Hard to say no to something like that. We could also buy some spells, so some kamikaze bursting guys, a slow zone, evasion. We could buy resources. Yeah, all that's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and grab the family crossbow. I think that could be good. Starting with free units is just great, especially if they end up being really strong mounting units. I've had that before, and it ends up being extremely powerful. All right, so we can boost up our gaze again, but not only do we need the golden wheat, we also need to get some clay, which I don't have as of right now. Let's go ahead and start generating some more of that wood so I can boost up my unit limit a little bit further, but until we get some more levy barracks, that's not going to do me a lot of good. So that's something I definitely want to do once we get to our next prophecy phase, which should be soon. Let's go to request tribute. I just want to find out what that's going to do. So if we click here, we can see, yep, it is 3 random resources. So I traded 30 gold for, let's say, 30 metal. Since metal takes refinement, it's kind of more valuable to me. That might not be a horrible trade, depending on if you have the extra gold. I mean, I do have gold mines. The problem with the gold mine is you need gold in order to start producing gold. So, I mean, like, we're not there as of right now. All right, let's go ahead and just start preemptively getting even more wood, because I do want to increase that unit limit, like so. Then we can move over here. Now, the thing I don't like about this is I'm now wasting one of my spaces. I probably want to move, let's say, my bone pit somewhere else. Let's try moving you down over here. What I'm going to do is put a research table here, and this can start generating some basic production buildings over time. So I have a little bit more to work with. I never run out of any of these cards. So the extra range units seem to be doing pretty well over here. We crushed all of those. Great. Let's get a levy barracks. What do we get? Madhouse, meh. The militia camp wouldn't be bad. I'm tempted to do that. How strong are the madmen compared to the militia? 100 HP, 10 damage per second, 147 damage per second. So higher DPS, and the more morale. So what morale does is it makes your it makes all your units stronger. They all do like 1% more damage for every morale. So it's okay. I think I don't really want any of these, if I'm honest. I think none of these are good enough, but if I had to choose one, I'll take the militia camp. We get 2 production buildings. I'll take a crystal mine just so we have options, since I don't have that yet. I don't need another gold mine, but I also don't mind having it, so okay, we'll take that. Another artifact, means of production. Receive all of these basic resource buildings. I did need a clay mine. That was something I was looking for. Or when your castle reaches 0 HP, it heals. Ideally, just never lose. So let's go for the means of production. Basic construction, and we can go for another prophecy and set up our next round of waves. So I do want to get some better units than this. I don't think they're going to do the job. We can get some more wall bursters. As long as I have enough DPS, we should be able to burn through that pretty easily. A goblin pig and a goblin bandit, blah, blah, blah. Sure, I'll do that. What can we do here? Kingdom infrastructure. So every once in a while, you're going to get some other things, not just artifacts, which are relics, but you're going to get kingdom up infrastructure, or you're going to get some unit upgrades. It's just going to pick a random type of unit. So let's say all warriors get 10% more damage, that kind of thing. A lightning mage for a veteran barracks. Now, see, that would be a way of getting myself much better units. I'm going to swap this out for basic production. We're going to put you here, actually. This is a little bit risky. Let's swap these around. Since the wall bursters don't do damage, we should be able to just deal with 2 dangerous enemies and then just kill the rest. And I think that's going to be fine. We'll go for another kingdom thing here, and then we'll go for the artifact, and I'm going to take some risks. Hopefully that ends up being fine. We can go for 2 free troops here. Yeah, it's an option. I'm instead going to go ahead and grab... Let's go ahead and grab the wheat, since I think that wheat is something I'm not coming by quite as easily as I'd like to. So how are we doing as far as our gold generation? We're up to 20-something. We need a lot more before I can place down one of these gold mines. I do feel like getting the clay mine wouldn't be a bad idea, so I can start thinking about how I'm going to go for the broader gaze. But I also really want to have that gold mine. What would make sense here? Good question. I guess temporarily I'll place down the clay mine over here so we can get started on this. We know we need the clay in order to boost up our gaze, and the more you boost up your gaze, obviously the better off you're going to be. Like, you want to be working as many tiles as you can. We have a lot of extra capacity right now for units. I'm really not taking advantage of any of that because I'm not placing down some of these things. I mean, we could just go ahead and start working on the militia. We could, but I think we can survive with what we've got. I'm going to raise militia over here using what little water I've got. And by the way, I'm well aware that I'm low on water. We can always just go ahead and pop back over to wells in a bit. For now, the extra units are here just to absorb some hits. As long as we deal with some of these scary guys, we'll be fine. We have the 2 extra crossbowmen, so my DPS is pretty good. And if we lose like a skeleton or something here and there, I mean, no big deal. Okay, I'd really rather you guys kill these things. That's fine, whatever. Pending rewards, we'll go for another clay mine, I suppose, just in case. Big guy gets taken down. We have lost, I think, a couple of our spare peasants. We lost all of our skeletons. It turns out that one storm mage was very dangerous. It's fine, though, because now we get some big stuff. Academy of Fire. We can recruit mages if we are willing to spend a lot. I mean, a lot of wheat. Okay, or we can get healer mages, which is also going to cost me a lot of wheat. I don't have any crystals yet. We could do this. I will. I'm going to go ahead and take that. Levy barracks, what else do we want? Swordsmen are pretty good. Or Whitman. Nah, it's going to cost me gold. Let's go ahead and take the swordsman. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to get myself a good, strong front line with things like swordsmen so I can get rid of these worthless peasants in favor of having swordsmen in the front and mages in the back doing a whole load of damage. So that's what I want to go for. We can place down a gold mine now, so I'll go ahead and start doing that while we also... Well, I can't actually get myself any skeletons because I need some water. So let's do that first. Do we have... We've got a few more peasants, but I'm really behind in a lot of my fighters here. Is it just because we don't have any of the mages? No, sorry, any of the bones? We're about to get hit really hard over here, and I don't have anywhere near enough units. What the heck happened? Huh. Okay, we may have to raise up a few extra militia. Can you guys deal with a bunch of these goblin bandits? Probably. I mean, the peasants are kind of useless, and with enough DPS, yeah, I think we're fine, actually. We're completely fine. I'm not even worried about it. Place down an iron mine over here since I've been selling all of my iron, so we don't actually have any to get myself some swordsmen. Can always swap over to selling something else, like sell off the excess metal and stuff, and obviously highly refined goods are worth a lot. For now, I'm just going to stop trading for a moment. Denari, let's go for the Kingdom of Infrastructure. What do we want to get? A special building. Hero statue, provide you with troop stat upgrades. Could be good if you have a lot of crystal. Not bad at all. King statue, speed up my king's abilities. Or the fairy fountain, does not need to be watched to work, just produces any resource at random for free forever. I mean, that could be good. It could, but I think it'd be more fun to go for the hero statue, so we'll go ahead and pick that up. I need another iron mine just so I make sure I have plenty of that to work with. Okay. Let's place down the swordsman barracks, since we know that that is something I'm going to need in order to start levying out some additional units. If I can get some more lumber, I'd love to get those mages running, but for now, swordsmen will have to be good enough. Ugh, and then my gaze is just so inefficient right now. Ugh. I'm going to place a tile enchanter up over here so I can work very, very efficient tiles up that way. Place down... I can't do another tree here. I have to wait until this actually finishes getting enchanted. Boo! All right, well, for now, let's just go ahead and keep generating some swordsmen. We have 2 pigmen still here. We're slowing them down. These mounted units are very, very dangerous and can absolutely slaughter you. So I think we'll be okay, but we're going to lose a fair bit there. Artifact, gain grapes when we kill an enemy? Sure. I mean, I don't have any flying units, so this just means that if I want to get mushrooms as my future frontline unit, that wouldn't be bad. And the thing about mushrooms is they boost up all your arcane units, which would actually line up very nicely with my mages once I do get those online. Speaking of which, we can go ahead and place said mages. And I will do that now, I guess, right along here. Okay, we filled out all of our tiles. You can demolish buildings if you do not need them, but you don't get your resources back. Or you could sell off excess blueprints if you no longer need it, and that's a way of getting some more denarii to spend at the shop, who will be arriving here pretty soon. It's like, I don't want to have this extra well here. I just don't think that that's very useful to me right now. What else could we place instead? Maybe a crystal mine for now, just so I can go ahead and start generating the resource. It's not that I immediately need it, but I mean, like, yeah, it could be good. And I'm wrong, by the way. The merchant is going to be arriving in just a minute. First, we have to deal with this little guy. Oh, he's all on his lonesome. How cute. He's dead. All right, thank you. So let's see. Increase the max HP of the castle. Receive fireworks upon completing this artifact. Fireworks you can place down, and they are going to boost up your production of your entire city temporarily. Every grunt unit on the battlefield gets a 2% boost to HP. Now, I do have a number of grunts. For example, my small bones, but am I going to keep the skeletons long-term? I don't know about that. The swordsmen count as grunts? They do not. The peasants do, but I'm going to get rid of them as well. So I don't know that that actually does me as much good as I would like. What I could do is go for a few other things like, let's say, Academy of Fire. So fireballs set enemies on fire, so my mages become really good. Yeah, I like that idea. And then, iron sawmill. There's a few nice things up here. I don't need the great bushes or crystal mine. I'm going to go for wheat field, which is an upgrade to all wheats, so I have a 25% chance of also getting some gold in addition to getting my wheat. So I don't have any wheat fields up now, but if I want to, it also gets me a little tiny bit of money, which I do need, because I'm, like, really good at getting my broader gaze up, but, like, not much else, if I'm honest. Oh, boy. You know what? Let's go ahead and just demolish these peasants. I don't think we're going to be making use of these pretty much at all. And we can go ahead and place down, let's say, some wheat fields and stuff like that and start generating the resources I need to boost up my gaze. All right, what are these? We have a bunch of slimes or blobs on their way. Pretty sure I didn't set these guys up for a prophecy. Yeah, that's because once we deal with these, now we get a set of prophecy here. So next artifact, kill crystals. I mean, sure, now we get 9 resources every time I kill an enemy. So I shouldn't have to focus on iron, grapes, or on crystals for the most part. I mean, some is good, but it's going to help alleviate that. I can really focus on water, timber, wheat, and stuff like that, and we'll be okay. Establish production, a really big gold mine, a really big iron mine, or a big sawmill. Oh boy, a good sawmill actually would be pretty great for me, I'm not going to lie. That way I don't have to worry about wood for a long time. And then as far as more units go, I don't know. I mean, the archery is okay. Black Sheep Barn, blah, blah, blah. None of these line up with what I'm trying to do, except for maybe the Whitman just for boosting up some of my units. So I'll temporarily take it, but I might end up selling that. And then, none of these are good. I don't need any of this. I'll take the gold mine, but I probably don't need it for a spell. Enemy units in an area receive 30% more damage. Great in a pinch. Stun enemies for 4 seconds. Also great in a pinch. But I'm going to take this. The extra damage could be great. All right, what else can I pick up here? Well, I could go for the extra troop training to boost up something. That sounds good. A building upgrade would be nice as well. So what easy fights can I pick up here? The lightning mages are scary. I don't like them. Yeah, a lot of these enemies are actually going to be pretty strong here. I'm not going to lie. All right, we'll do something like this. Hopefully this ends up being okay. Let's see. Empower your madhouse. Get 4 units. Receive permanent morale of 7. Chance of getting a couple of free building upgrades or a 50% chance of getting nothing. Permanent morale is 7% more damage, I believe, for everything, so I'll just pick that up. That's a bird in the hand versus 2 in the bush. All right, so this is a pretty decent frontline army, I'm not going to lie. Like, we got a lot of good range units. We got some good frontline units to deal with these guys. I wish I had stronger frontliners. That's where getting the mushrooms would be great. My swordsmen and folks are getting absolutely obliterated, but we do have a lot of range damage. Awesome. Troops. Warriors get 15% more HP, or Arcane get 15% more HP. I don't think I care about the HP on these guys. They're DPS cannons, so we'll just go ahead and make our Warriors a little bit stronger, and that affects our Swordsmen. Of course, now I have to actually go through and regenerate all of my units, but, I mean, it's whatever. And we always could get myself some additional militia. I mean, they're warriors too, so they wouldn't be bad if I needed them. If I could get more units, I might consider fielding them. And actually, I just realized the wheat field is the only one that has gold diggers, not these small wheat fields. Oh, so these can't actually get me any gold then. Right, all right. I really do want to place that then. So we can place you on the supercharged zone over here, and that would be best. Now I'm generating a lot of gold, and I'm generating a lot of wheat. We can increase the size of my gaze. Let's do it, and now I can work this 5th tile right down over here. Okay, so here come a lot of enemies. Oh, boy. All right, well, as long as we can deal with the piggy, I think we'll be all righty. I really want to get rid of these skeletons. They're not doing me a whole lot of good. Building upgrades. Make the Whitman have 400% more HP. Double the damage of the Swordsman, okay. Or chance of getting flour whenever skeletons die. If we're going to focus a lot on skeletons, this would be great, but I think I'm going to commit myself to doing the Swordsman. Could spend some denarii to do a reroll. Not going to. I think this is fine. And did we lose much out of that arrangement? I think we just lost a couple of skeletons. That's pretty much it. These guys are very disposable. So I want to get more unit limits. That means I need to get myself a lot more trees. And I really want to broaden my gaze, which means I need a lot of money. Lots of money. More resources coming in out of that fight. Wine is something you use to temporarily boost up your morale, so I guess that's a fine thing to have. I don't know if it actually gets used in the building or if it's an automatic thing, to be honest. Produce and advanced productions. Yeah, whenever you're in battle, your troops drink wine. So we just get 30 more morale whenever that happens. Okay. We can boost up our unit limit, by the way. Let's go ahead and do that now. I should probably rearrange a bunch of my stuff, but for now, I'll live with what I've got. So we could get the Whitman, and what these guys do is they just sit back and they buff up the attack and move speed of allies, which is not a bad thing to have. I'd really like to get more swordsmen, but Whitman would be a way of boosting things up a bit, or we just go ahead and get the militia. No, you know what? Let's go ahead and grab the Whitman. I think it's fine. We'll grab the Whitman, and then they will boost up my mages, so they fire super fireballs. That's probably how it works, right? I have no idea. So we're almost ready to fight our first boss, by the way. That's what the skull icon means in the timeline up top. What else do we have here? Heal the castle every time you use a spell. No, ranged troops get a 4% chance of shooting an additional projectile for every warrior ally. If I had a lot of ranged units, that would actually be great, and then gain gold for every point of damage dealt to my castle. None of that's helpful to me. Boost up the capacity of my Fire Mage Academy. Okay. Market just works faster, or get a random troop reward. I'm going to go for the extra mages. I think that's fine. Economically, we're doing okay here. More units is highly enticing to me. And I do think pretty soon I want to get rid of these skeletons in favor of something else. Either mushrooms or swordsmen. That's what I'm going to be hoping for. So here comes Mr. Boss. All right, it's the Goblin Warlord Gorzog. So he's obviously a little on the scary side. Could use frailty, wouldn't be a bad idea. We'll see how fast we can take down some of his allies. Maybe I don't have to worry about it. He can do a lot of damage, I'm not gonna lie. Like, he's very effective at slaughtering your troops. But I do a lot of range damage. We barely lost a thing! All right, I love it. Legendary artifact. Increase unit limit by 6. That's just so many more units I can field. Oh my gosh. Or increase my bonus HP by 5 every time I cast a spell. That's really good too. I'm gonna take the unit limit. That just saves me a ton of wood. I can now put so many units on the field. It's insane. A tornado or legendary fireworks. 100% productivity for a short period of time. Or 1 use of a tornado for 12 seconds. I'm going to take the tornado. I think that's fine. Veteran barracks. Another Academy of Fire. No. Musketeers? Okay. Or an explosive cart factory. I don't like any of that. I'm going to do a reroll and pray. Longbowmen, healers, or bees? Well, I mean, I don't like them. I don't like any of this. I'll take the Academy of Nature. Maybe someday I wish I had some healing. I don't know. Troop training, warriors do damage, arcane have HP, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't have any flying units, and I really don't care about the arcane health, so we'll just do damage. And as far as more stuff, let's go for more veteran units, some money, and a couple of spells. A building upgrade is highly tempting. I'll take one of those. An advanced production building? Do I feel like I need that? Maybe. I think I'd rather take some more kingdom infrastructure for a unique building of some sort, and then I guess I'll just take it. I'll take one of these extra advanced production buildings. I'm getting greedy. So, now that the boss has been defeated, all production buildings increase their production by 15%, and my enemies are going to be getting a lot stronger, which is all the more reason I really need a lot more units. I should probably get rid of some things I don't need. Like, let's say, this is a worthless small wheat field. I'm probably not going to use it, right? It would be kind of fun to build the hero statue. Provide you with troop stat upgrades. Ooh, that would be fun. If I had a little bit more metal, I would go for the Academy of Nature and get myself some healers, but we don't have that. Unless I want to spend some gold and try to get some. Let's see. Wine, flour, crystals. Darn it! All right, well, I'll take the wine then. Guess there's no reason not to get some militia for now. Again, it's not quite what I would have wanted, but I mean, whatever. More units on the field are better than no units on the field, am I right? And I think that so far we're doing pretty good. Like, this is a very good cluster of advanced buildings. Lots of lumber, wheat, gold, and such coming in. We're getting some of the iron we're going to need. This is working out nicely, I think. Okay, big enemies coming in now. These Sunface guys have 1,000 HP. Good thing I cast really strong fireballs, am I right? There we go, die. Building upgrade, clay mines better, maybe. Hunters, more capacity. Actually not bad for me. And then healers we can't use right now. Yeah, sure, all right. More hunters is good. Slow down more enemies, more range. Do a reroll here, Academy. Okay, we do have mushrooms now. I'll select this. We could use that to get some extra units. Yeah. In fact, I'm willing to get rid of these worthless skeletons. They don't do a lot for me. But the mushrooms stack up beautifully with my arcane. What do? Well, we get extra attack speed for all of our arcane units for every mushroom warrior on the battlefield. So all I'm doing is boosting up the strength of my mages. So let's pull my militia back into the barracks. I can always field them out in emergency situations. And we'll just put out as many hunters and these mushroom warriors as possible. And by the way, we can upgrade our gaze. Let's do it. Now we have a 3x2 area. That is maximum power. So now our economy is just cooking really well over here. Oh, we're raking in the cash. This is good. Lots of enemies, but honestly, I'm not feeling too worried about it. We just lose a couple of swordsmen here and there. Big whoop. Kingdom infrastructure, a cannon. If only I could produce fuel, I'd be able to start producing cannonballs and shoot my enemies. I like that idea, but oh well. Hospital, heal your injured troops while active. Not bad, actually, for some of the end fights. I'll pick that up. Maybe that's worth it when I'm willing to get rid of some production buildings and just make my units live a lot longer. I would like to place down this hero statue. Let's see exactly what that's going to do for us. Now, I assume I need to work the building, or is it just going to... Is it permanent? I think I need more lumber before I can activate it. And that's fine. I can produce a whole load of lumber quickly. Advanced production from finishing that wave. Ooh, okay. If I had a way of producing any furniture, this is great to get, the furniture store. This would then sell some furniture to gain some special town denarii, which is the resource we need to upgrade our town in between games. So if you have a way of getting furniture, getting this basically means you can farm out endgame resources. It is amazing. That said, I don't have a way of getting any furniture, so it's a question of should I hold on to it and pray? Or should I go ahead and get the forge so I can refine some metal and get my healing mages up and a-running? I'm going to take the furniture store and pray that eventually it works out. Let's see. I would also like to get deforestation. We can chop down some trees, maybe have to deal with an ent, place a barrel that explodes. Could be useful in a pinch. I'll take that as a backup option. And then, yeah, let's deforest, let's say, this area right here. We did create some ents that we'll have to then kill. It's not a big deal. I do think the market loses a lot of value, by the way, once you get to the stage where you have your broader gaze done. Unless you're using money to get reinforcements for units, you probably don't need to be selling your stuff off anymore. And by the way, now that we do have, yep, there we go, we do have enough lumber, we can get ourselves working with the hero statue, so let's do that. I just want to see what happens with this. Troop stat upgrades? Is it like literally just generating some free, you know, one of your classes gets stronger, or is it like a permanent buff in another way? We'll find out. I don't know. And we did get, okay, it's exactly how I thought it was. We do get to have some sort of an upgrade in one of our classes. I don't really benefit from much of this. I guess we could get the range with extra HP, or I could do a reroll and try for something better. Arcane, do more damage. Yes. No-brainers are no-brainers. What else can we get along here? Get a magic school, magic college, archmage university. Receive wheat at the beginning of every wave. Mech. Healers, more of them. 40% chance of returning resources. Whenever what? We grow a mushroom or a mushroom dies. It's one of those. I don't know. None of this really jumps out at me as being amazing, if I'm honest. I will buy the ability to turn some enemies into sheep for a few seconds, because I think that does affect bosses. And maybe it could interrupt a boss in the middle of a really big attack. So we're about to get our next prophecy wave, so we can set up the next 3 and find out what we're going to get. I'm going to place down a magic school. Let's start generating some basic spells. It's not like I'm using my crystal for much. Might as well get some value out of it. Next prophecy, I like building upgrades whenever I can. You might have noticed, by the way, that there are a lot of enemies, and they are getting much, much stronger, more numerous as time goes on. Unsurprising. Let's see. Buildings work 5% faster, or whenever you kill an enemy, a random unit is healed to 20% of their max health. That's really good, especially if there are going to be lots of little enemies like these guys over here. So we'll just go ahead and crush them and just start healing myself. I'm just going to jump forward a bit here because I do think most of these waves are going to be rinse and repeat from here on out. My economy is pretty well sustained, I think. God, I wish I had a way of generating some furniture, though, because this map seems to be going really well. I will place down a hospital. That sounds like a great idea. More building upgrades, boost production. Oh, you're taunting me with this furniture store. You are taunting me! I don't mind the idea of getting a boost to my morale whenever I work the market, though. That's something I can do during a fight. Try using one of my spells. 5 seconds for mostly range units. We'll do a quick little tornado. Get sucked! All right. That feels pretty cool. Damage dealt by spells increase. Banish my troops. I don't know why I'd want that. Extra frailty. We can stack up spells, yeah. Oh, a way of generating furniture. Oh my god. Okay. Hang on. What can I get rid of? What do I not care about? I don't care about generating any clay anymore. That's garbage. And I'm probably not going to generate any more of my own blueprints. That's also garbage. So we'll get ourselves some carpentry up and running. Look at that. We're generating more of this denarii. We're going to get good resources, because here comes the next boss. Not a lot of time. It's going to be, oh gosh, I haven't seen this guy before. The Hungering Maw. I was expecting a dragon. That is not a dragon. Tell you what, we'll place down a quick TNT barrel. 5 seconds, you say. Right here, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go boom. There we go. Hey, I timed that out beautifully. Okay, so we want to fight this boss. I'm going to turn him into a sheep temporarily, just so he is easy for me to hit. We can also make him frail and also use blinding light to try and make it so that they don't hit. Good God, this guy has a lot of health. Okay. Seems like he just enrages and becomes unkillable after every one of these bars. We'll place down some dynamite. Go boom. Killed a bunch of something. Okay, hang on. I might be in trouble. Let's go ahead and start regenerating some more of my units, since some of them are dying. I say I'm in trouble. I'm actually doing completely fine. What am I talking about? We'll wait until this guy gets down to his next phase, see how he's going. We could call in a meteorite. Don't think I need to, but I will call one down here to kill these crabs that are hitting my guys. There we go. Don't you dare hit my beautiful mages. My mages don't deserve your hatred. And let's go ahead and send out all my other units that I have so far trained up. I've been letting them go to the barracks just in case, like, the enemy did some sort of a big AoE attack and killed them. Why trickle in and die one at a time? But there we go. Boss goes down. Thank you. So by the end of this, I get 41 of these town denarii so I can get more upgrades. That's pretty good. And that is how the King is Watching generally works. Now, as far as where you spend some of these resources, I can go to my upgrades here. And there are things like starting off with extra wine at the beginning of a run, or I did want to have the ability to start enchanting tiles. Being able to do that is obviously great. Unlock new types of units, mounted units, or come over here down to red. We can get things like the Assassin's Temple, get rid of some of those noble palaces that were blocking up my tiles before, so I have more room to build. Unlock new kings, each of which has different spells and abilities. And unlock different advisors. Now, I went for Zeus. That's the reason you had somebody who was striking people with lightning. If I go to my council, right here we can see that we have 3 different people that I could say, hey, I want this person to be my counselor, giving me one other special buff in a particular map. In this case, it was Zeus. Some of these counselors are incredibly strong. Extra spell damage, or temporarily summon more mushrooms. More advisor slots so you can have more of them. You get the idea. There's a lot of ways to upgrade. And then if I wanted to spend the points, I could go for a challenge mode and for an encyclopedia. I just don't see the point in those right now while I have much more important upgrades to work with. So yeah, it's a very fun game. It's pretty unique in how it's approached. So far, it doesn't seem unmanageably difficult, but I could see it getting really ramped up depending on your build, depending on your difficulty level. It could be a pretty great challenge with a lot of replayability. So hopefully you can appreciate The King is Watching as much as I do. It's a very unique little indie game. I think it is worth your time. If you want to check it out for yourself, there will be a link to the Steam store page down below. If you did enjoy this video, of course, I'd ask you to hit the like button, leave a comment showing your support, hit the subscribe button and the notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.